Hey guys. I really should be filming on my camera, but honestly, I just didn't charge the camera battery and I got ready and I have a few minutes and I promised you a video, so here it is. My name's Madison. I'm back. This is my channel. I'm just gonna be myself because that's the point of this YouTube channel, is for me to be myself, and I don't really know how to be myself in front of a camera, so I filmed this video like 15 times and it's probably going to be filmed like 20 more times before I upload it. So if the internet never sees this, fucking shocker. I have like 50 bajillion videos that have never seen the internet, so I'm not really surprised. But anyways, this is my video about 5 crazy stories of being a Lyft driver. Every time I pick up somebody, when I'm lifting, they're like, oh my gosh, I bet you have the craziest stories. And like, really, I don't. Like, yeah, there's some weird things that have happened, but it's not like super insane. So I probably will just go in order from how I remember them. So we'll start with the first story. So the first story, it was like a weekday, I think, and I was with my friend at the time. We're no longer friends, so I'm not going to say her name, but I was with her and I took her with me lifting. And you're not supposed to bring people with you when you're lifting, but I brought her because I was showing her how to do it. And so yeah, she came with me and we were driving and we picked this lady up from Walmart. And Walmart is a sketchy place, I feel like, in general, and you pick up really weird fucking people from Walmart. So we picked this lady up from Walmart and she got my back seat. It was like her and her granddaughter. She was like this older lady and she seemed not well. And so they were in my back seat and we're driving and we're talking. Me and Ashley were talking, and all of a sudden in the back seat I heard like this really weird noise, and it sounded like, and I was like, what the fuck? And so I turn around and I look at my back seat and this lady threw up all over herself, and I was like, oh my god, if she gets throw up on my car, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. So I roll the windows down and I'm like, do you want me to pull over? Like, I can pull over, like. So I pull over and she's like, no, keep going, like, we're like 2 minutes from her house. And I was like, okay. So she was just like sitting there like holding the throw up, and I was like, great. But like, everything bad happens to me, so I was just like, of course, like, this is my brand new car and of course somebody's gonna throw up in it, you know. Hold on. Thirsty bitch. Also, because I'm sitting here in this outfit, like, it's not 500,000 degrees in my room. So there's that. Okay, so she threw up on herself and she had like this bag, right? So she was holding the bag, and this was before I got throw up bags. After this, I got throw up bags from my car because I felt like it was essential. And so she was holding this bag, and I got to her house and she got out of the car and her granddaughter handed me a tip and she was like, thank you. And me and my friend, I just looked at her and she was like, don't want to do this. And I was like, that's never happened before. So that was the first weird thing that happened to me as a Lyft driver. The lady threw up on herself in my backseat, and like, I swear I will never forget that sound of her throwing up in my backseat. It was the weirdest sound on the planet. It was just like, why wouldn't you tell me to pull over? Like, why would you just throw up on yourself? Like, I appreciate you not throwing up on my car, but like, okay. So the next story was Super Bowl Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday and it was nighttime, and I was picking up a lot of people that were drinking and drunk and stuff, and I picked up this guy from the bar, and I was taking him to a strip club, I think. I'm not sure. We never got to the destination. So yeah, I was taking him to a strip club, I think, and he kept saying weird stuff like, I bet you would make a lot of money stripping and blah blah blah, and I was just letting them slide, like, whatever, like, he's drunk, like, he'll give me a big tip, like, he thinks I'm cute, like, whatever, you know. We're on the freeway and I remember it just started to rain, and he goes, why don't you come back here and suck this dick, baby girl? And I was just like, and I wanted to just stop my car and be like, and one more time, but obviously you can't do that on the freeway. So I just kept going and I was like, how about you don't talk to me like that? And then he was like, what, excuse me? And I was like, okay. And so I got over to the far right side and I was like, get out of my car, like in the middle of the freeway, like on the 91, well, not in the middle, but like on the far side, you know, like the side of the freeway. And I was like, get out of my car. And he was like, excuse me? And I was like, get out of my car. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, so I'll call the police. And then he got out of my car and I called Lyft and I was like telling them what happened. And I think they canceled his account, but I don't know. I left him there on the side of the freeway because don't talk to your Lyft drivers just because they're young women like trash. So yeah, I have had to kick people out of my car. I have had creeps. Like, people ask me all the time, like, have you ever had creeps? Like, I have guys that get in my car all the time and they're like, are you scared? Like, I wasn't until you said that. Like, why would you say that? Like, do you feel safe? Like, don't tell your Lyft driver stuff like that. That's weird as fuck. It makes me just want to, like, I don't know. I feel like we should have like a panic button that like ejects them from my car. But yeah, that was the second story. And then what else? The third story was I picked this girl up from like near my house, and she would like, her destination had 2 stops, so we were going to pick up her friend and then going to LA. So we went and we picked up her friend, and he was super cool. He got in the car, you could tell like he had a lot of money, you know. And so we picked him up and we were going to LA, and he was like, they were like having a party. It was like a Saturday night, and they were like having a party and like bumping music, you know, like and I don't know what the fuck that was, but like bumping music, and I was listening to it and getting into it with them. I like to like associate myself with my like riders. I like to be just like them, you know. So yeah, we're listening to music, and he starts throwing ones at me from, but like he was sitting behind me and she was sitting next to him in the backseat, and he started throwing ones at me, like raining ones at me, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I just like went along with it. I was like, okay, like they're just trying to have some fun, right? And he was like, well, you can keep the ones. And I was like, okay, like it's like $50, you know. And so we got to the place where they were getting dropped off at in LA, and he was like, if you wait for us, like I'll give you $100 in cash to take us to the club. And I was like, sure, you know. So he hands me a $100 bill, and I count all the ones up, and it's also $100. So I made $200, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. I've never made $200 lifting before, you know. So he comes back in, and we go to the club, and he's like, I'll give you another $100 if you pick us up from the club. And so I waited, and he gave me $100, and eventually I ended up making $450 off that group of people that night. And it was insane, and I was extremely blessed. They were really nice people, not sketchy at all. Like, they just had money to blow, I guess. And that was weird, but I'll never forget driving and just having ones raining on me like I was a stripper. And I looked awful that day. I literally was wearing like pajamas, like no makeup, like I was just lifting, you know. Why would I get ready to go lift? It was insane. I made so much money, and he was just treating me like I was a stripper, which was weird because I was your Lyft driver. But they were the coolest group of people I've ever met in my life, and down to earth and sweet and caring. And I've never had passengers like that before or after them. So if you're watching this, I appreciate you. If you need a Lyft driver, I got you. But yeah. And then the fourth story, I picked this lady up one morning to go to Newport from where I live, and it was early, and I picked her up, and she asked if she could smoke a cigarette in my car, which was the first weird thing because no one really does that. And I was like, sure, I guess, like, it doesn't matter, you know. So she was smoking a cigarette and telling me about how she just got divorced and how she has this son and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, like that's so sad, you know, just like having conversation. And then we get closer to where we're going, and she was like, you know, I could sell your eggs for like $10,000. And I was like, what? And she was like, your eggs, like your ovaries, like I could sell your eggs for like $10,000. Like, you can make so much money doing that. And she proceeded to go on and on and on and tell me about how I can sell my eggs and like make all this money, and like how if she was my age, she would have sold her eggs, and like how she went to prison for selling drugs and like all of this weird stuff. This lady started talking crazy. I went to go drop her off, and she like, we parked, and she was like, guess what's in this cup? And I was like, what? She was like, alcohol. And it was like 9 a.m. on like a Monday, and I was like, me too, bitch. And she was like, I'm going to my sugar daddy's house, like blah blah blah. And it was like this house like beachfront in Newport, and she was like, it's like $1.5 million, like he pays for everything, like, and I'm over here struggling to pay my bills. But you know, middle-aged women have sugar daddies that pay for everything. Welcome to California. People always have stories, like horror stories about their Lyft driver, but like I feel like Lyft passengers are just as bad, and they can be just as dangerous. Like, I hate to break it to you, but I'm not trying to kidnap any of you, but y'all can be weird as fuck. So yeah, those are the only stories I can think of right now. So I guess just 4 stories for part 1, but yeah, there's some weird people. It's weird when people get in and like don't talk and like go really far. That's all I can think of right now. So yeah.